Hello, welcome to the channel, and today I'm giving myself to day 30 to train up and acquire loot or allies to return to Darkfinger and avenge Flashbox. I've already used 2 days and 6 in-game hours running for my life, which leaves me 27 in-game days and some odd hours. This might seem like plenty of time, but you also got to consider travel, which is probably where we're going to spend majority of our time, to be honest. That and recovery. I mean, if we're looking at seeing stats, they are better than nothing, but I mean, really, they're not that great. We have a lot of work to do. That being said, as of the recording of this video, if we were to include the early access period of Kenshi in 2013, we can confidently say that Kenshi community is about 12 years old now. Wow. Just wow. In that time, the community has come up with various ways to build your stats quick, fast, and in a hurry. Utilizing some of these holy techniques stolen from the Kenshi elder gods themselves, we shall become a vessel for which our vengeance to flow and spooge all over the chests and stomachs of our half-naked adversaries. For instance, this ancient technique is referred to as getting your cheeks clapped by a ton of bandits, and then getting back up again for exorbitant gains. Imagine going to the gym every day, having a dangerous job to acquire grit, and that really all you needed to do was vape very loudly in the baby section of IKEA. But alas, this mechanic only works in Kenshi. You know, this might have been touched on by other creators, I'm not sure, but after you get beat up by the bandits, instead of recovering like a little girly man, you sneak behind them, and you'll see that your stealth will increase around the same rate as your toughness. And so you could just kind of, double up. Honestly, I think it could be possible to like mid-max this further. If you had some iron, you could totally, train your strength too at the same time. So just some more thoughts on that, right? Because you're going to be doing a lot of walking, following these guys, and maintain your health. And I did this for about 3 days, and I managed to get to like 52 toughness and 58 stealth, and I was feeling pretty good about how things were looking by day 5. We were already looking very tough. So as it is now, I am very pleased with our current progress. I think now we're going to be making our way towards the border zone so that we could do some safe strength training and even maybe pwn some starving bandits, like smaller groups. Because we really want to get a body for strength check, right? So that we can double our encumbrance from 25% to 50% increase. So some of you might have noticed that I sold some copper there. I needed to make up the difference for the backpack. From there, we load up a dead body on our shoulders and then inhale as much iron as humanly possible. And we start making the treads, intermittently fighting bandits along the way, building up our toughness, our weapon skills, and our strength all at the same time. And I stop around strength 41. Stopping at 41, in my opinion, is less than optimal, but we've already used half of our allotted time with being on day 15 now. And if we are to actually avenge Flashbox, we have a lot more stats we need to build in the meantime. Additionally, we really need a cash injection at this point also. We are running on fumes. And so another cool thing about that is we get to sell our iron, right? And then our iron and whatever copper I had left, and that will be our seed funds for our hash smuggling operation here in the swamps. Now, some of you might already know what I'm doing here in the swamps, but for those uninitiated, I'll just elaborate a little bit more about it. I'm going to spend all of my money on hash. Not food, just hash. I don't need any money. And we're gonna not want to sacrifice too much of our encumbrance, but we want to be as efficient as possible due to our time constraint. In case the unforeseeable would happen and I totally get eaten by some sort of beak thing or get delayed by some swampers. Regardless, we're gonna be making our way to Flats Lagoon, I have a tendency to want to call it lagoons flats. So if I flip flop, that's what I mean, right? At lagoons flats or flats lagoon, we will make a hefty little profit selling there, and they also have quite a bit of money as well. So we're going to be making these runs as much as possible, and from there we will be going to go get some gear worthy of our revenge. And as you can see, in a very short amount of time, I think in like about 2.5 days or so, we have made ourselves a small little fortune of 132 cats. So we are going to go ahead and make our way down to Armor King and see what kind of armor we can get. And oh yeah, I do remember that I did in fact say that I was going to save at inns and things like that, but it really hasn't been that big of an issue as of yet. So yeah, we get here, the mouth of the river to enter this little valley that leads to the Armor King is just southeast of Blister Hill. So it's very close to where we started. And yeah, he's a cool little character. If you haven't heard of him before, you could get some pretty sweet gear here. And what we're looking for is samurai, masterwork samurai gear. We do have a chest piece, which is a great start. A great start. Awesome. And yeah, we're just gonna try to pick out the best that we can get. Unfortunately, I'm really not seeing any samurai boots or leggings. So we're gonna have to just settle for something else, right? So I'm grabbing me the hood and a new saber and a decent t-shirt here. And this should actually do pretty good for our purposes. I mean, we were already running out of money, so I don't even think we were gonna be able to afford the samurai boots or the leggings at this point. So what we're going to do is do a off-screen hash run. Sorry, I forgot to record that bit. It was just so mundane I didn't even think about it. But I just grabbed a short chunk of money, about 50K, doing that, and I went to Squin and I found a decent enough pair of boots and a specialist samurai pants. So I was a bit in luck, but it's not masterwork. It's gonna have to do. We have some combat games that we really need to make if we're gonna like not instantly die or get eaten by cannibals. So we're gonna fight around the world, beat up a whole bunch of bandits, dust bandits, ninjas, and of course make our way over to the Iron HQ and fight some of those guys as well. Now, I watched the vaguely Sicilian video about this place in particular, right? How he made a pretty OP character doing the heavy weapon on the stairway. So I really like that idea. It's a little hard for me personally as the Greenlander, as they seem to be quite zealous in taking me out, right? I mean, I can eventually limp out, but not as easily as he is, especially probably because he was, you know, a Steely Dan, right? And Steely Dan was pretty stealthy, so. But you can see, by the end of my training here, I was doing some pretty gnarly damage. I knocked out a couple, they were limping, walking away from me, so this was I consider this a good point for me, especially because we're on day 27. So we have to start making our way towards Darkfinger if we are going to arrive on time, right? So I break camp and I make my way to the nearest inn I know of to buy up some supplies and make one more save. We're on day 28, 5 a.m., which leaves us 1 day and 19 hours. To make it from Lagoons Flats all the way to Darkfinger is essentially halfway across this continent. But fret not, friends. We have athletics 74. Alright. With the amount of armor we're wearing, we hit about 19 to 20 miles per hour, which is fairly decent for a man without robo legs. Well, we're already at the farm again. Nostalgia. But honestly, this was probably the part where I felt like we were actually safe from the cannibals. So, kind of hits home now, coming back now after all this. So I decide that I'm going to make one stop over here at World's End. This is going to be our last save before we officially get into Cannibal Country, and I'm pretty stoked about this. I'm feeling pretty confident with our stats. We ended our training regime with a 44 strength, a whooping 73 toughness, 45 dex. I don't know what I did to do that, but I'll take it. Our saber skills at 47, our melee attack is at 49, and our melee defense at 58. So we are looking solid on that front. We have a whooping 75 athletics, 64 swimming, and 64 stealth as well. So I'm feeling fairly confident in our ability to at least kill several cannibals, right? Heading out on the brink of dawn, we make our way through the northern coast, straight into Cannibal Country. It is then that we are very quickly accosted by a group of cannibals. The tall red boys, to be exact. And in my opinion, the tall red boys are like medium, right? They're more intimidating than the little green boys, but not quite as scary as the named NPCs. And that's as far as I know as vanilla cannibals go, you know. There are varying brands of cannibals and mods that are available in Kenshi, but I wasn't all too sure how Sing was going to perform here, and I was pleasantly surprised. Sing is making quick work of these cannibals, which has emboldened me to think that I could probably take on quite a few more, but how many I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go up behind this hill, lay down a sleeping bag, and rest and attempt another run. I find a nice little group of green boys. I'm going to easily dispatch these, or so I thought. I am pleased with Sing's progress. He is just mowing through these guys like they're paper, right? And not too many attacks they have in store can really scare Sing. So sitting comfortably like that, and then this guy comes in from the left, and oh my god. Oh man, look how many, and then more red boys too. So this is going to be a rather large group for me to fight. And we're going to do some clever editing here just to, this fight goes on for quite some time. And I'm just going to clip some of the best moments. You see those, look at those limbs fly. Look at those ragdoll effects. Oh, yeah. That's the stuff. This is why we play Kenshi, right? So I'm just soaking the sands with the blood of my enemies. My vengeance is foretold and has been laid asunder across these bare-bottomed cannibals. They do not stand a chance against Sing's mighty wrath as he collides down with his mighty saber, crushing skull and sinew. Oh, it's so good. Look at this. Fantastic. Look at the deed is done. My vengeance has been enacted. I recall being here earlier, just stuck, and now retribution has come. Feels good. Feels good. So after my assault on these cannibals, I slink off to go lick my wounds and look for more trouble again immediately after. I start to use some of my stealth abilities here, trying to pick my battles, right? You can't be too careless when you're fighting cannibals, because if you make one fell mistake, you take on one too many enemies, or they get one too many lucky hits like on your head and you go unconscious, it could spell demise, right? So we got to be careful, and we got to choose when and where we strike. Unlike right now, when a group of red boys saw me and my stealth was basically useless. So, master stealth person here, right? Anyway, at full health, I can easily take out these red beans here and move on rather quickly. So long as nobody else tries to join in the fray, right? Now, these guys have put on quite the fight, and I realize I am somewhat underestimating these red cannibal guys. These guys are kind of badasses. I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of a badass. But I end up winning out over them anyway, and manage to slip away and find a nice little spot to catch some Z's, rest up a little bit, right? I do want to mention that there is a bit of a strategy to sleeping out here, and it's not perfect. It's certainly not perfect. What you want to do is you want to stealth so that if one of the cannibals get near you while you're sleeping, you get somewhat of a warning. Now, sometimes they're really fast and they'll just nab you from what I've seen. So you need to be careful and you need to be able to, put a pause on the game immediately when you feel a little uncomfortable. Because he will grab you and then he'll stack you to a stake and there's nothing you can do about it. See, if you look here, you can immediately see what I'm talking about. And this little dude, he was going to try to get the upper hand on me, but because I was stealthed, I got a little bit of a precursor. I was able to pause and correct the problem. Now's the moment that Singh has been waiting for. We are not much of a stone's throw away from the village that had imprisoned us. Tried to eat Singh and ate Flashbox. And we will be visiting them with our vengeance filled with spooge. That's right. You thought I forgot about the spooge, but I didn't. The spooge has arrived thusly, promptly, and on time. Some will try to escape the spooge, some will wish they had, but none shall. None shall. With the village responsible for Flashbox's death cleared out, I set my eyes upon the second village, which is just over the horizon. As soon as I enter the cannibal village, I'm immediately rushed by a wave of cannibal savages. My carefully cultivated toughness and armor being the clear difference between life and death when fighting these adversaries. Like an enraged, morbidly obese fat kid, I rend into the cannibals as if they were the last box of chocolate chip cookies in the house. The cookies, the cannibals, the hunger, the vengeance. Eventually, most of the village is cleared out except for a few scragglers. Unfortunately, I will be accosted all throughout the day and night, unable to fully heal, which, as you'll soon see, is the downfall here shortly. But even with all of our superb training and preparation, a war of attrition could only get us so far. Eventually we fall and we get brought into the city. Lucky us, we survive the initial beating. Well, now it becomes a race against time as we pucker our booty cakes and pray to Okran that we could pick this lock before the cannibals realize what it is we're doing. Oh man, it is at this point that I realize there is a critical failure in the training regime that I had set up. My lockpicking was abysmal when I arrived here. I definitely probably could have afforded just paying off the bandits or the ninjas, not bandits, to teach me how to do some lockpicking. But eventually we get the lock and we make good on our escape. I immediately want to go looking for my backpack, and I do this for at least several in-game hours. To no avail, and without supplies, our rampage could only get us so far. So I make the executive decision that it is time that we actually make our way back to World's End. And at risk of making this video far too long, I want to make a cut here. And want to go ahead and thank each and every one of you who have made it this far. I super appreciate it. If you could go ahead and do the liking and subscribing and all that good stuff, I would appreciate it. If not, well, hopefully I'll get you the next time. And at that, I will catch you all on the flip. Huzzah!